Clark, how you doing? Good to see you again. James, how you doing, buddy? Great to see you. Jack, always a pleasure, bud.
How are you?
I'm good.
That's old guys.
Good to see you, fellas. Oh yeah, you've got the new knees. I forgot about that. Yeah, well, the kid get here.
About those. I can't do it either. I gotta hit these.
So what y'all are trying to tell me is we need to, appoint younger people to the Water Commission. So what are you trying to tell me, guys?
Either appoint younger people or move faster.
but probably
the project needs to move faster for some of us.
Yeah, but there you go. Well, hey, let's talk a little bit about that. So, fellas, let's go ahead and start off. Jack, after you.
Hi, Jack Hilbert. I was a former county commissioner, former town councilman for Parker. Sat on a lot of HOAs, metro districts. I'll tell you, I've dealt with water issues since the early 90s. So for the last 35 years, it's been interesting to see how far we've come and what we need to do. And I'm really excited about the Water Commission because I think there's some things we have got to get done to find out where we're at and where we're going to go with the water supply and water regulations.
My name is Don Langley. I'm a director on the Parker Water and Sanitation District Board, just recently reelected, which was fun. So I've served 3 years, got 4 more to go. My introduction to water actually happened in Aurora. I was on the Citizens Water Advisory Committee for Aurora Water and chaired that for a couple years. So that's how I got started in water. So I'm also excited about the water plan. It was a lot of work for us to get that together. It was a lot of work to get the RFP out, but I think the commission really came together and we've got something that's going to be really good. So.
All right.
Jim Morris. Been a resident of Douglas County for 15 years. I've been a director on the Perry Park Water and Sanitation District Board for 6 years. Prior to that, which is my retirement, I spent 35 years working in the water industry, mainly from a financial perspective, worked for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in a program that provided services to small rural communities and rural water systems across the country. And as part of that, I spent 7 years in Washington, D.C. in the national headquarters running that program. So a lot of experience, nationwide in different states. And although, Colorado and Douglas County is very unique here because of the Western, water rights issues. But I think it's really important that the county comes up with a water plan so we have this kind of roadmap path forward. I think you look at what it takes to be successful in Colorado, and having water is on top of that list.
I'm Roger Hudson. I'm a city councilman for the city of Castle Pines, just over that way. Before that, I was working on water issues at the Capitol, state Capitol, as a deputy chief of staff, where water was obviously a topic where we always talked about it on a state level. Before that, worked with the Attorney General, where we talked about WOTUS, and also water issues where we were fighting to keep our water here in Colorado. And defend our water rights here, long-serving water rights here in Colorado. As a city councilman, looking forward and trying to make plans for how we plot for housing and for new developments. Without a water plan, we just can't make realistic plans for how we're going to replot or bring in new families and new businesses. It's almost impossible to plan for 10, 15, 20 years into the future, let alone 50. So very, very excited about a water plan.
All right, Commissioner, it's James Eklund. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, James.
I'm a ranching water lawyer, but I was blessed to be the architect of the state's, Colorado's water plan, the first iteration that came out in 2015. And my eyes lit up when I heard that there was interest in from this county, doing that level of work and getting really a way to control your own destiny. That's what you're after, and that's what plans do. We're blessed to be in the headwater state, 18 downstream states in the country of Mexico, and 30 sovereign tribes at least rely on water that starts here in our mountains, and being wise stewards of the resource it really sets the tone for not just us here in Colorado and the rapidly growing Front Range, but it sets the tone for the West, and it's important work. So it's exciting to be a part of.
Hi, George. Clark Hamelman from Castle Rock. A while back, I served a couple terms on the Castle Rock Town Council, and was involved in a lot of the water issues. And after I left the council, I chaired the Castle Rock Water Commission for a couple of years. And so I've been interested and involved in water issues for 15 years now. I think it's really important that we move forward with a county-wide plan, because surveys at the county level, surveys at the town level in Castle Rock all show that even, though a lot of good work has been done, people don't know about it. And so a lot of what will need to come out of, in my mind anyway, out of our long-term plan is how we get the word out about the future of water in both our communities and in the county as a whole, and how we do a more complete job of educating the citizens out there so that they're more comfortable with the good work that's been done and the plans that are in place and are being put in place for the long term.
All right. Well, and of course, the only reason I'm here is because at some point in time, each of you, except for maybe you, Don, had sent me some variety of message, conversation, or text along the lines of, well, we need a water plan here in Douglas County. And Don, I just don't remember you ever saying that to me before you being appointed.
I agree.
And Clark, the guy who took his place on the Castle Rock Council seemed to be that guy that likes to wear Hawaiian shirts all the time. And our conversation started way back then along these lines. I think what people really want to know from the Water Commission right now is, quite frankly, how's it going? It's not something written in a single weekend. So how's it going, fellas? Where do we feel we're at with producing the water plan at this stage of the game? Go ahead and jump in.
Well, I'll start. I think, we're getting started on the data-driven part of the plan, where we've hired consultants to start pulling that data together. We get the updates from them monthly during our meetings. And so I think we're, just getting, our feet wet, so to speak. In the next 16 to 18 months, we'll be neck deep in data and what the report is going to start looking like frame-wise. So I don't even know how long. Has it been a year that we've been on the commission?
Yeah.
And so
It has.
so we've had a lot of discussion, a lot of meetings, and I finally think we're actually getting some stakes in the ground and we're making progress, measurable stuff.
Okay. Anybody else want to add?
The thing I think that was so important, and when we first met, and it was almost unanimous agreement, we need to know where we're at before we can determine where we need to go. And so we very quickly put together a small technical group, and then we began reaching out and developing some information regarding what kind of an RFP do we need to issue to get consultant help. But I can tell you that what we've done now is we've got a full-blown effort in identifying all the data we need necessary to be in comprising some type of a plan that will have some type of a recommendation and a solution, hopefully, within that. But to get that, we had to go to outside sources to help us identify that information. People who were experts in the ability to go through all the records and knew about water. And so that's what we did. The group as a whole developed an RFP, sent it out, and then we awarded that RFP to a group here in Douglas County. So I think we're working ahead very quickly on getting that information now.
Okay, one more. Anybody else want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I'll just add that and one of the things we found so far is that the large water providers all have good long-term plans in place. Parker, Castle Rock, Centennial. But what does it mean for the entire county? And by hiring a consultant that knows how to put that together in a way that is meaningful to the average water user in Douglas County is one of the objectives, because getting the word out in a easy to understand and meaningful way is one of our key objectives.
So let's talk a little bit about our consultant that we've brought in on the project, because we did a bid. We had like a California company, we had an Israeli company that bid on it, and we chose Forsgrid, which we did get some criticism on because they're actually a local company. The principals are residents right here in Douglas County. How's Forsgrid working for you guys? Because from my perspective, the consultant is working for you guys on the commission. How's Forsgrid doing?
Forsgrid has actually been great to work with the expertise that's part of this commission. We all come from different areas, we all have different levels of experience. Forsgrid, which made them unique, and one of the reasons we looked at and we selected them was because they prepared a water plan for El Paso County, for Arapahoe County. They're also, I believe, working and helping Elbert County. So it only made sense that all the parties and all the other entities that are around us seem to be doing well with getting their water plans. So why don't we take a look? And then when we looked at the outcomes that they provided for those counties, we felt that it became pretty obvious that was probably the best choice that we could make at this point in time. So we selected Forsgrid to be our consultant. Anything else?
Yeah, Don.
Yeah, I mean, I would circle back a little bit to when the commission came together and our task was to develop a water plan. What's that mean, right? We had 11 different people in the room, and it kind of meant something different to everybody. So, I mean, it took us a while to kind of come together, as a commission to actually say, this is what the plan should be. We then worked pretty hard to say, well, let's try and write this, and figured out that no, the 11 people together weren't going to be successful in trying to write a plan. But we did put an RFP or an RFI together, request for information, which I think was a critical step. We put that out to the vendors, to the contractors. This is what we're thinking. We got a lot of really good feedback from that. Forsgrid was really good, and Terra was really good. That really helped us shape the RFP. So when the RFP went out, I'd say it was a very strong RFP. It was very clear on what we wanted. Yeah, we had looked at El Paso and Arapahoe County, and we looked at what they've done. A good example of this is the kind of information we'd like to have. So when it came time to award, and we looked at the Forsgrid bid, I mean, it was just really good. It was really compliant. It was strong. It gets us where we want to go. So it wasn't a hard choice. It really wasn't, even though we had, I think, 5 different vendors to choose from. So.
I'd just say that the abundance of riches that we have here in our state when it comes to water engineering and technical ability is just phenomenal. I mean, it's a wonderful thing because you really do get to have the pick of the top echelon of people in their field, and it's trying and challenging stuff when you're analyzing data. You've got to have a really sound groundwater modeling capability, and that's something that we really looked for and scored for when we were doing our analysis of the different options that we could go with. So I think we ended up in a great place, and it seems like every time we meet, there is an update, and the wheels are turning.
I think it was more than that, though, for me on this, because I think all their maths were good. I mean, everybody who presented, I think the science was good, the math was good. I think they're all were really good stewards of their professions. But they came to us with a communication idea that I thought transcended. Not only, I mean, it's hard to be one thing for all people, but they want to do a plan that presents that not only engineers understand, but that planners can understand, that I can hand it to a citizen, a resident, and go, okay, here's the future of the water for our county and for our communities. So trying to be able to communicate what really is engineering, I mean, it's difficult to understand for a lot of people. I think they understand that they need to deliver a plan that we all can understand and that will last for many, many years, because we're putting a lot of money into it. So it should last and be a little bulletproof. And that really sold me on them. So I liked it.
Yeah, an important part for me with the selection of Forest Glen was something you had mentioned, Jack, of they're working with our adjacent counties. And I really did not want a copy and paste. Well, it was this in El Paso, so it's got to be this in Douglas. I knew that was not going to be the case. And so I didn't want the copy and paste, but I did want a degree of continuity. And that I was hoping that Forest Glen could provide. And based on the input you've given, I think we're going to probably get something like that so that, yeah, people in our neighboring counties, they can look at all the plans together and see that continuity, but yet see what is unique for each of our communities, both on the challenges side and the advantages side. James, now I want to turn to you I'm going to pin you to the wall because you're kind of our control group appointee on the Water Commission. You're not a resident, but you did play a critical role, obviously, as the architect of the Colorado State Water Plan. And it was really important for us to make sure that you had an opportunity to come in, bring all that expertise you have working around the state, even though you're not a resident. You're not playing the home team here. How are we doing as a community to take our water issues seriously?
Well, that's a great question, and I appreciate the willingness to invite one of these things that doesn't look like the other into the fold. Deja vu gets triggered a little bit in this process because, like you said, with the state plan, that all started it was really the wake of the 2002-2003 drought that hit the state and really the western U.S. so hard that it was a wake-up call of sorts. Then DNR Department of Natural Resources Director Russ George, former Speaker of the House, said we've got to have an atlas for water in Colorado, and we don't currently have one of those. So we got approval through the state legislature to create a statewide water supply initiative, and that was the basis, like where are we question that Jack hit on. That without that, you can't really. You can't tell where you're going if you don't know where you've been, and so we got that under our belt, and then that produced a path forward for basin-wide basin implementation plans that each basin in the state put together, including the South Platte, and then we ended up with a state water plan that was basically resting on the shoulders of those two really good efforts. And here, what you've done is you've pulled the actual residents, the people that live in the county, together, and you're essentially recreating that at a county level. You're all going to the grocery store, and you're in your communities, and you're living life here in this county. And it really takes that boots on the ground, and you're in it, and you feel it. You're making decisions about business or about your personal situation or about water providers that you sit on boards for. That there's no substitute for that. So I applaud the way you've gone about the putting together this commission, and then the scope and the directive that you've given to it. It's really inspiring, and I hope, we've got 64 counties in the state, and I hope that the others take a hard look at this and follow suit, because each county is different. They are unique, but really at the end of the day, you've got to have a plan to move forward with confidence, and our business community needs that kind of confidence when they move forward with site selection or growing their businesses in these different parts of the state. So hats off to you. I'm not going to literally take my hat off because I don't know how my hair is going to look, but it's exciting.
I'm in the same situation. I got a haircut coming up in a week, so I ain't taking my hat off. So Jim, kind of a little bit of the question. Yeah, you are a resident. You're a member of the Perry Park Board. but you've done this nationwide work in federal service before your retirement. I don't know, how are we doing? I mean, are we doing okay here?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to be on this commission. As I've seen across the country in counties, especially rural counties. Now, I consider Douglas to still be rural. And I've seen how water plans done right can literally change what happens in the county. You know, we got Denver Water to the north and Springs Utilities to the south. They all got long-range plans. They know where they're going. We are a mixture of some I don't call these large systems. These are mid-size, you know, Parker Water, Castle Rock, small systems, you know, Perry Park, a bunch of other small metro districts. Yeah. So we're, you know, we don't have that big brother that's going to step up and do our plan. And I think it's, you know, again, I've seen across the country when these counties invest in a water plan and do it right and have a good one, how that sets a path for that county for economic development, income growth, population growth, and that's not always what's looked upon as being good here, but it's all about the economy and making this county strong, and we need this water plan to show the people that what we got and how we got this path going forward. It's going to be, you know, 20 years from now, they're going to look back at this time and say, wow, that group, they really did the right thing for getting this county headed in the right direction.
Awesome. So Don, you are on a board of a local water provider, and as we've talked about, kind of one of the larger ones here at the county. The county is not a water provider. Why do we need this water plan?
Yeah, so by my count, there's like 29 different water providers in the county. I mean, it's a pretty diverse group. Most of them are special districts. So, I mean, I think the concern is that, you know, you can get kind of heads down in your little district of the world and maybe not paying attention to your neighbors. Maybe there's opportunities for connections or collaboration and stuff that don't get seen. But if you can come in at the county level, and the county, it's not coming in for the county to like take control or anything. It's to enable collaboration. It's to enable cooperation. It's to identify and be able to see, you know, what opportunities are there. The county, of course, has responsibility on unincorporated areas, so there's kind of a connection of how do you handle those areas in the context of all these other providers are there. Maybe they should be connected, right? Maybe we should look to connect more rural areas or unincorporated areas into the county. So I think it's a vantage point that the county has, the county commissioners have. And, you know, your goal is I mean, it's kind of think generationally. I mean, it's these homes and stuff are going to be around for 100 years. Who knows how long? So it needs a more comprehensive view. And I would say maybe it's even trying to make sure we don't become balkanized and people are just heads down. I got my territory. I got my water. That's all I care about. So I think it's an opportunity for leadership, really, in the county.
Cool. Now, James, I'd like you to weigh in on it too, because the state of Colorado isn't a water provider, but you've spoken to how critical that need was when first identified at the turn of the century. How would you answer that question of county's not a water provider, why do we need this water commission and a water plan?
Well, you went right where I was going to go, Commissioner, with the state of Colorado is not a water provider either. And that doesn't mean that you don't get benefit from really wrapping your arms around the entire problem or issue or challenge and getting it wrestled to the ground. You've got to have a holistic approach when you're talking about jurisdictions like we're talking about here. Douglas County has a ability to set policy and for its jurisdiction. The state of Colorado has the ability to set policy for its jurisdiction. Water, because it is so important, it's on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, 3 days without it and you're toast. So you've got to have it, and your businesses have to have it. And more importantly, they've got to know that you've got a sustainable plan to get it if you don't have it, or to keep it coming if you do. So it really does require each jurisdiction that has that policy-making authority to to try and tackle the big challenges. It would be much easier for you and the county to say, we're not a water provider. This isn't really our issue. We're going to defer to the water providers that are in our county. But that would be, I think, a short-sighted way of moving forward, because you do have shared interests. You do have the ability to harness infrastructure as a group that might not work if you're just one water provider, even the big ones that are in this county. But certainly the smaller ones, having a plan so everyone knows generally where the other's headed, and we can. That's the tough work when we get to the spot on this commission where we've got the data, we know where we are, we know where we've been. The tough work is going to be making sure that you harmonize where all the different water providers are headed, where the different interests in this county are headed, and making sure that you can get them all on the same page. It's kind of a Lincoln-esque challenge where you're trying to harness people who may not have the same exact idea at the start, but you want them all pulling in the same direction. So that's our challenge, fellas, is that's what we're going to have to do.
So, when Clark and I serving on the Castle Rock Council representing the 6th District at different times, and sometimes actually at the same time, you and I were involved in water planning as a municipality that is a water provider. But Roger, you're in a position that I'd like you to answer the same question, because Castle Pines, the city of Castle Pines, is not an inherent water provider. Right. So what would be your perspective to answering that question of why should the county be doing this work?
Well, municipalities in Douglas County are struggling because they have to make some really tough decisions. We are in a desert climate. And if you don't recognize that, then you're actually hog-tigging yourself when it comes to making plans. My city in particular, Castle Pines, we're famously we're known for the fact that we're a city built around golf courses. And when we built our city, we built these golf courses like we were in Florida. And so watering these turfs, we were not responsible as we are now. And when we built those golf courses, they were watered by wells. Those wells are now struggling. We are, like other municipalities, like Don was just talking about, we are served by not only the Metro District, but we are also served by Parker Water. So the current status of play is those are our providers. But a water plan is important because that will not always be the case, especially as we look forward. I know you as a commissioner and you as even a council person, as you've talked and looked towards water, has always been about renewables. That's new for us in particular. As we look to the future, where we talk about new vegetations, we talk about the new ways to protect the water that we have. The only way we can do that is with a water plan. We have to know what we have, know how to protect it, and not only just from just the environment, but from other states, from other people who put claim to our water. We have to know what we have to say, this is what we have, nobody else. And for municipalities, there's no way I can plan for the next community, the next mixed use, the next possible reservoir, next way that we can protect different aspects of how our water use is going to be used and used wisely.
Go ahead, Clark.
I want to add that I think it's very important that the county step up to this from the perspective that the vast majority of the citizens in Douglas County get their water from a water provider. And so somebody has got a responsibility to look into the future for them. But there are a small number of residents in Douglas County that are what I would call self-providers. They're out there on their own. They've got a well. The well's been in place for many years. They don't have any expertise in providing water or in the engineering or the hydrology of what's going to happen to those wells in the future. They hear things about the aquifers depleting. They need guidance and direction. And I think the county has an obligation to speak to those people. The obligation is much less for me in Castle Rock because I've got a water provider and I'm very confident that Castle Rock Water is going to provide me with water and is doing the things that it needs to be done so that my property remains valuable and I don't have to worry about turning the faucet on someday and not having water come out. But if I lived out in the resident or in the very rural areas of Castle Rock, I'm not so sure I would feel that confidence. And I'm looking to you guys to give me some direction and some help and provide some county guidance for those, especially those rural citizens of the county.
Okay, all right. Great answers, fellas. So we're getting questions from folks of why 2050? That seems so far away. And I don't know, fellas, when we talk water, is 2050 very far away?
It's a blink of an eye, it really is. We were talking about the state water plan. I mean, we started down this road in the wake of the 2002 drought, and that was supposed to be, we started this conversation looking at a 20-year horizon, and because the cone of uncertainty does get bigger the further out you go, but it seemed like 2025 was way far away, and here we are. And I have no doubt that 2050 will feel very similar. We will be there before you know it, and we'll be wishing we had used our time wisely.
Many of the projects associated with water are huge projects, costing millions of dollars to implement, costing, and having to go through many regulatory hurdles at the state and federal level to get done, and that doesn't happen overnight. So some of the projects or some of the ideas I anticipate coming out of this plan have a 10 and 20 or even longer horizon for implementation.
One way to look at this, though, this is 2025. And 2050 is only 25 years.
That's right.
I have to tell you, I've been involved in water in Douglas County for 35, and I'm looking back and saying, what happened? Where'd it go? And so I look at this now saying, I'm so happy that we have come together finally as a county-wide group representing all the diverse areas within the county, so that we can begin to come up with a plan that can address and help and provide information for everyone. I will tell you, as a former commissioner, I was always very concerned about all of our users that were on individual wells, what was going to happen with the aquifer, how long should they plan to figure out what they're going to do if their well begins to fail. And we have to get a handle on and fully understand, how is that aquifer doing? Aquifers in different areas replenish at different rates. Some take hundreds of years, some can replenish much quicker. But where is that? We don't know. And that's what this plan will do, will give us information finally that we can put together that. One thing I would like to point out too, keep in mind, most water plans require you to provide a 100-year source. Yeah. So we're looking at a 25-year plan in reality, but yet we require them to show us a 100-year source. And that's a state regulation. So I think you can see we've got some fast work to do to get this ahead, so that, when they reach that 100 years, I know I won't be here, but by golly, I want their well to still be pumping water, I hope.
Your home will probably still be here.
It will.
Jim.
Well, I just wanted to make the point that it takes a long time to get stuff done on major projects. Right. These water systems are going to have major projects going forward, and it's going to, we're laying the groundwork with this plan to put like stakes in the ground so they have a starting point. And I think you look at the reservoir here behind us, as I said earlier, in 2010 when I moved here, they were just finishing up construction, and a couple years after that they started operation, and so here we are in 2025 and they're a third full basin. It takes a long time for stuff to happen and for things to come to fruition. And I'm not talking about building my reservoirs, but I'm just saying it takes a long time for stuff to come to fruition. This plan will give us some data and some roadmaps on where to go into the future. And I think, those destinations down those roads are going to take time, and we got to get it started.
So Jack, I know, you're the leader of the Water Commission. Are we going to have public involvement in the drafting this water plan?
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, that was actually part of the RFP and the RFI process. What do we do for public engagement? And when is the right time to do it? And when do we do it? Right now, we're right in the data gathering mode. But I tell you, as soon as we have a draft I think it's imperative that we reach out to the public and say, we need your input. I mean, to be quite frank, well, there's two ways to look at it. We have experts looking at everything. We have experts at the table. We have diverse individuals from different entities across the county. But you know what? There's many thousand of people out there with eyes on the situation, I'm sure would like to share. What do I do? What should I expect? These are my concerns. And those things need to be addressed. And that's why I think absolutely, as soon as that first draft comes in, we need to schedule an opportunity for the public to come in at that point and give us some feedback so that we can adjust appropriately and make sure that we're trying to put together a viable plan that will work hopefully beyond 2050. But
well said, Chairman. That's exactly what we had to have for the state water plan to not just be a glossy report that sat on the shelf and collected dust.
Right.
You have to, if it's going to be actionable, people have to feel ownership over it. And that can't just be window dressing. It's got to be a real way for them to plug in, like you're saying, and that's the way to get it done.
I'm really encouraged the fact that residents of Douglas County seem to be really excited about this water plan. And they're really excited about conservation, renewable water, and what they can do to help preserve our water in the county. I get questions everywhere I go, in my city, as I travel around the county. I'm sure you do too, all of you do. If we don't come up with a plan that we can implement, and that people don't want to follow or can follow, then it's no good to any of us. So getting that input, I think, is really vital to us. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and I mean, I really, I know my colleagues and I, well, once we do have a draft of a plan to bring forward, I think we're going to want to do a town hall. I mean, we've had a town hall this year that had 10,000 people, either in the room or listening online. And I really think we're going to need that kind of exposure and to generate that kind of discussion, because just like James said, after we've got the plan, it's not a document sitting on a shelf. It's got to be policy that we, are implementing, so that for the betterment of the people of Douglas County. And so, yeah, we're going to need that public input to go through that policy writing process and get it to a point where we're not just living the policies of the Douglas County of 20 years ago. We're living the policies for the next 20 years.
And I hate to say this, but I lived in the Capitol for too long as a member of the staff. If we don't do it, Denver's going to do it for us. And I think we know our county better. I think we know our needs better. I know our residents know our needs better than someone who is living in a townhouse in downtown Denver. So I would like for us to make choices for our residents and for our businesses and for our local economy. And I think we're best at making those decisions.
Absolutely.
I think our residents are interested in this plan. And I hear about it out where I live, and to the point where the sanitation district I serve on, it's a standard item on our agenda now every month that I give a report to the rest of the board on what's going on with the Water Commission, and there's usually questions. So people are watching what we're doing and they're interested in it. So it's going to be important that as soon as we get, kind of a framework of an initial draft, that we get that out to the public and let people look at it and come to us with feedback.
Very good. So how can the public stay involved in the Water Commission's work right now?
Well, there's two things they can do right now very easily. One is we stream every meeting. So we're online. And as a result of that, you can log in, watch the meetings. And if you want to see any of the previous ones, you can absolutely do that. It's transparent as we can be in that regard. You can also come down to, when we have our monthly meetings, you can come down to the county building, and you're welcome to join us in the audience and watch. We kind of don't open it up for public participation at this point, because it's really not the time for that. But that's coming. It's coming. And so we just have to manage that process there. So that's two ways. The third way, I would just say this to you. Look at the individuals on this tape that's going to be talking to you. Every one of them has got diverse experiences and backgrounds, and they live all over this county. So you know what? When you see one of them in a grocery store, ask them. If you know one of them, call them and ask them. probably the easiest thing to get a quick answer if you want it. So that's would be my recommendation.
Very good. Very good. Let's start wrapping up, fellas, and let's start with you, Jack. Final words. What do you think the public needs to know about the work that the Water Commission is doing on the water plan right now?
The water plan, I think we started off, it was fairly slow getting it going, but we needed to. This is a new idea. A lot of people have some strong opinions, and they all wanted to be heard, and they should be heard. And we wanted to make sure we got all those voices from the members that were on this group so that we could then put together, I think, a plan and a direction to move forward with this. And I think it's gone very well. My job as the chair really has not been because I'm a water expert, but what I can do, my wife has cats and I can herd them. So it's fun in the meetings sometimes in doing that. And so that's, I guess, probably the one thing that I can do. The other thing is, when I was a county commissioner and a councilman, one of the things that always bothered me was when you look at our regulations and support, and what I'm hoping we come out with on this thing is not just groundwater, but also renewable water. And then we have to add the new big component, which is conjunctive use, which for those who want to, what is that? It's a combination of conservation, groundwater, renewable water. How do you then make that water supply last even longer? And I have to tell you, I have met with all the water providers, the large ones, and I am very impressed with the plans they have in place and the things they're doing on water conservation. They get it. And that's what we've got to do, is replicate some of those across this county so we can make our water supplies go farther. So,
Very good. Don, final words.
Yeah, I appreciate Jack's comments. I thought that was a good description of how we had to come together, and I think we did. I would tell you I'm excited. I'm really excited about where this is going. I think we're on a really good path. I think we got a lot of good input. We're going to have a lot of good data, which I think is really useful. This may be the most extensive groundwater study of the county that's ever been done, I think. We've kind of poked around different places, but this one is really going to be comprehensive, and it's being done by an expert, so I'm excited about that, having good information. I would circle back to the 50-year thing, why 2050? And maybe I kind of think of that as maybe that's the ninth green, and you're just really, if you get there, you're just making the turn, right? This is, we think of these, we don't think of end dates, we think of water in perpetuity. I mean, we're not saying, well, these homes are going to be gone in 50 years. It's like, no, they're going to still be here. We're going to be different people, there's going to be different generations and stuff. It's still going to be here. So laying a foundation now, it's a beginning. We'll build on it. I think every year, you want to revisit, or every few years revisit, get more groundwater data. I think the study will say, let's go look at certain areas really closely because they maybe are stressed. So it's a huge opportunity. I'm really proud to be part of it. I really am.
Very good. Very good. Jim.
Yeah, I go back again to, I had never met Jack before until I got to the first meeting of the commission. And, my original thoughts were, boy, this is a big group to be effective. I mean, it's a lot of people here. And so hats off to Jack for herding the cats. He's done a great job of keeping us moving in the right direction. I think we've got an awesome framework, and I guess the outcome will depend on if we finish our job strong or not. I believe we will. For the residents that want to stay involved, I think the live streaming is miracles. And I know of people that live out in my area that go back and watch those videos. And especially with the recordings that they can listen to later, they don't have to be there for the whole hour and a half as it's being live streamed. They can go back and watch bits and pieces of it as they have time. And I know people that are watching every meeting because they come and talk to me about it afterwards. So I think the whether we're successful or not is, I guess I'm confident we will be, but I don't know that we're there yet. But I think it'll be long after this committee is dissolved that will determine whether this was a success or not. And I know of examples where in Southwest Virginia, where they developed a water plan, and 30 years after that, they raised the flag and they said, we have potable water to 90% of our residents in the county.
Wow.
Now, not all of that is connected through a pipe. because it's some mountainous areas just like what we have to the west. And some of those people, they have, group holding tanks, and there's a water provider hauling water up to them. But by gosh, they got safe drinking water now that they didn't have before. And so the success of this committee will be determined long probably after we're gone, but I'm confident that there will be success.
Roger.
Well, as excited as I am about completing the water plan, I'm more excited about what comes after. I think what we'll learn from the water plan, I think will not only confirm some of our fears, but also excite us for some of the solutions of dealing with a lack of water, a lack of renewable water, a lack of water sources. So I think it will open the door to some innovation for Douglas County, give us an opportunity to solve problems that if we had not done a water plan might have been ignored. If we had not done it now, might have hurt our economy, might have hurt residents, definitely would have affected our property values. So as important as the water plan is, I think the work that we do after the water plan is going to be vital. And I appreciate so much this commission and of course the commissioners for laying the groundwork to protecting our water in Douglas County. If we were not doing this work right now, we would be sadly not servicing our residents and future residents of Douglas County. I'm very proud of all the people at this table.
James.
Yeah, I wish that time stood still, and when I was doing my work with the state water plan, I would just go to editorial boards around the state, and that was usually sufficient to get the word out about whatever it was we were doing or whatever issue we were wrestling to the ground. That is not the way it works anymore. The digital media and social media that people use to communicate and get their news, that's not lost on this county. I think it's one of the more forward-thinking counties about how to utilize that to make sure that your constituents are, again, feeling ownership. That's what I keep coming back to. So I think our commission's going to lean on you commissioners at the helm to tap into your excellent comms people and the folks that are tasked with messaging. They know what they're doing and they know how to do it, and we're going to need that help to make sure that we're giving as much insight, but also much opportunity to the citizens to roll up their sleeves and get involved in this plan as it moves forward and really feel ownership over it. So, I think I'm equally excited. It's really at the forefront of doing this work of planning, and again, hats off to you for doing it this way.
Clerk?
I'm looking forward to the plan being completed, because at that point, that will be the start of the implementation and the analysis of the recommendations. I see our committee going forward in the future to review and analyze the suggestions that will come out of the plan, and making recommendations to the commissioners and to the county as to what changes need to take place and how they should take place going forward, whether it's conservation issues, whether it's groundwater use issues. But I think we'll have a significant role in making recommendations to the commissioners on what needs to be implemented after we get the final results of this plan.
Yeah, I mean, that's something very important to bear in mind, that, one of the purposes of seating the Water Commission was to develop the plan. But then there is that other part of continue with the analysis, continue bringing recommendations back to the board. There's no guarantee that the next person who's going to take my spot also had those 6 years working on the Castle Rock Council, managing that municipal water utility. There's just no guarantee that we're always going to have high levels of water expertise. That our rural history kind of brought us just because we had ranchers, we had people that were out working in the rural area, working on the land. It kind of brought that inherent water knowledge to the table. There's no guarantee that that's going to be where our elected leadership continues to go. And so, yeah, having the Water Commission and staffed by guys and gals just like you all, who are bringing that expertise in, I think it's going to be critical moving forward, into the foreseeable future. I don't see an expiration date on Douglas County, Colorado.
For one of those reasons, it's my hope that the water plan that we create will be a living document. Yeah. That it's not just something we put a stamp on and here it is, in 25 years it's done, we're finished, goodbye, see you later. That it is a living document, that it will live on past us, the commission, and will benefit those that are 50 years out from now. So,
Always more data.
Yeah.
And the data never stops.
And the data never stops. And it's good.
That's right. That's right. Well, guys, thanks so much for coming out on this, on this horrible day, but the joke won't carry on camera. Thanks for coming out on this beautiful day with a wonderful piece of water infrastructure behind us to have this really great conversation. And I think it's a great conversation that obviously you guys get to have every month, but it's great to have it to where we can bring in all of our residents and hear what you guys are thinking. And thanks for coming and thanks for sharing.